Exterminate! Exterminate! Exterminate!
I'm the Doctor.
I'm a Time Lord. I'm from the planet Gallifrey, the constellation of Exterminating. When I say rise.
Time and relative dimension in space.
It means life.
Greetings humans, Daleks, Time Lords and Vinvoci. You are listening to Exterminating Doctor Who on Utter Radio.
This is the show to take unpopular episodes of Doctor Who and debate whether they're really all that bad.
With your hosts Aidan Gula.
And me, George Ellis.
And in today's episode we are talking about David Tennant's farewell episode, The End of Time.
Yeah, End of Time. Great episode. What do you think of it?
You know what? I do genuinely like this one. This is why we are raising more positivity
If
about it.
you're about to say no, I was going to get very
No, I
angry
do
there.
genuinely like it.
Good.
But more and more I watch Who-tubers. That's what they call themselves.
No, that's...
YouTubers who talk about Doctor Who. The more and more I watch...
What are we then? Who...
Well, maybe if this goes long enough, we can class ourselves as Who-tubers, as this does go out on YouTube.
Yeah.
We are Who-tubers now, everybody. Okay. So...
I don't want that title.
The more and more I watch their videos, the more and more negativity I see about this episode. And it
Why are they so negative
when I
about
first saw it, it surprised me. I thought we all liked this episode. Don't we all like David Tennant's Doctor? Well, not everybody does. A lot of people... I've seen a bunch of people that don't. But
well,
I thought...
the reason they don't like him is only because people do like him. It's the common, everyone likes this thing, so I'm going to not like it to seem cool.
I find a lot of classic Who fans do not like Tennant's Doctor. But anyway, that's beside the point.
Get over yourselves.
Yeah, I just thought, well, this is just one of those iconic episodes. Regeneration episodes always are that big staple of Doctor Who. So I thought, we all love this one. And then I kept seeing people going, you what? You don't like this one? What? And then the more points I'd seen about it, and then understanding the criticisms, I thought, and it's gone from like it used to be in my top 10 episodes, possibly even top 5. It is not there anymore.
What did they do to you? What have they done?
They pointed out the flaws.
Well, everything has flaws.
You know, ignorance is bliss before. I was like, great episode. He has regeneration. The Master's in it, and he's shooting people with lasers. And then people went, yeah, he's shooting people with lasers.
Yeah, I know.
And
it's
I went,
cool.
And I thought, yeah.
Oh, come on. Listen, he was given his powers through potions, so of course he's going to have lightning lasers.
Before we get into that, I just think it's such a different regeneration episode compared to the other ones from all of Doctor Who's history. There's some similarities with Capaldi's, I guess, but I don't know what Russell T Davies was doing, really.
How very dare you?
It's like he had a good idea, and then he thought, I'll write that in a week's time. And then when he came to write it, he thought, I think I remember the idea. I'll just fill it in with some other stuff.
It works.
And then
I like it.
He dragged it out across 2 parts when it really didn't need to be.
Yeah, it did. Listen, if it weren't right, the second part was like 70 minutes long. You couldn't have done that in one. Otherwise it would have been an hour and a half.
We'll just make it feature length. I've done that with Doctor Who before.
That would have been it, yeah.
Day of the Doctor, Deep Breath, Time of the Doctor.
Okay,
a bunch of them are all...
Okay, yeah.
A bunch of them are all feature length.
But didn't they all come after?
They're all Moffat ones.
Yeah, so maybe at the time they weren't allowed to do features because of the slots.
Maybe. But I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I do like it.
Mm-hmm.
Don't get me wrong. There are just things in it. I think, oh, come on. What did you do that for? Like, it could have been the perfect regeneration episode, and it's not because of the flaws. And that's what it's done to me. It used to be my favourite regeneration episode, possibly even one of my favourite Christmas specials. And I'm just like, now you've pointed out all these flaws. It's just fallen. And now there's other regeneration episodes, and like, that is far better. That does the job much better than this one does. That's what's happened to me. So that's why I wanted to do. That's why I wanted to do this on an episode, because I have a troubled relationship with The End of Time. It used to be one of my favourites, and is now like, meh.
Well, I still love this episode because I don't go watch these Who-tubers and ruin my fun. I love the episode.
That's what happens.
It's silly, but as you said either last week or the week before, how silly can Doctor Who be? This isn't really as silly as it's ever been. It's quite silly. It's gone further. So I'm fine with it. I love it. I really do like this episode. And my God, this episode makes me cry like a baby.
You're absolutely right. There are some absolutely. The problem is, there's some absolutely amazing moments. So when I think of the end of time, I think of all those moments, but I also think of all of those moments. So there are things in this episode that, like you said,
are phenomenal.
I will genuinely weep. And obviously, I don't want to go is the obvious one.
Have you seen all of the behind the scenes on how many different ways he did that?
Yeah.
That's the middle ground. There was one where it was just a normal I don't want to go. Then there was the I don't want to go that he did. And then there was a really kind of powerful I don't want to go, but they decided to go with the middle ground one because they didn't want to make it too much.
Yeah,
it was really interesting, actually.
Yeah, I've seen that. But no, obviously that's the obvious one. I tell you, there's actually a really specific moment, which is probably the same for you. It's when he's on his reunion tour at the end, or farewell tour, or whatever you want to call it. Magical mystery tour. Oh,
what did I call it? Because he says he's going for his reward, so I call it his reward.
Well, that's more poetic. But the one, some of them are great. Sarah Jane's one is good. Rose's is all right. The one that gets me is when he sees the granddaughter of Nurse Redfern.
That one breaks me.
And it's the one where he just goes, was she happy?
Yeah.
And I'm like,
and then she says, were you? And it's like, oh my God.
That's the one that gets me. So even though, I don't want to go is the obvious one, but I'm seeing it so many times, it's sort of, it's not so much for me now.
Last 20 minutes that really got to me. Like, I rewatched it yesterday, for Pete's sake. But it was that whole last 20 minutes that really broke me. And that it wasn't the I don't want to go that broke me the most. It was every other little moment,
Yeah.
Just the small things. And even the scenes for the whole 2 parts. The scenes, it's, right. His name's Wilfred, right?
Wilfred Mott.
Thank you. Because every time they say it, I go, Wilfred. I'm like, I've never properly pinned that name down. But I have now.
How dare you? Wilfred is an icon.
No, what I'm going to say is he's fantastic. And any scene where it's just the 2 characters, Doctor and Wilfred, absolutely astounding. Just incredible acting from both of them. And speaking of acting, every single performance in this entire arc, these 2 episodes, amazing.
Besides maybe the hammy John Sim.
What? Listen.
Look, there is the Master, and then there is a deranged psychopath.
Yeah, because
shooting lasers out his fingers and turning into a skeleton and eating burgers every 5 minutes.
As you do.
They are not the same character.
Oh, come on, they kind of are.
They are not. This is a crazy man. This is not the Master.
Yeah, but it's the Master who's had potions, all right?
The Master wears sleek black suits. He hypnotizes people and goes about in very scheming ways. He doesn't go and shoot people with lasers. No, sorry.
He's not having a good time.
That is not the Master.
Listen, if you were slightly potioned up and you were half dying and you were really hungry all the time, you'd be like him. Listen, I'm completely fine with that whole thing.
This is why I don't like the new Master, Sacha Dhawan, who actually was on my list of people I wanted to play the Doctor. Then he ended up playing the Master. I'm like, yeah, he's the new Master. He suffers from exactly the same thing. He shows up in an episode called Spyfall.
Spyfall.
Just let that horrendous title just sit for a moment. And he's playing this character called O. Like his code name is O, and he's
get it
exactly. That's that's the pun.
Like
he plays a character called O, just the letter O, like to be a James Bond spoof. Throughout the episode, he's helping the Doctor out, and then they meet in this Australian barn or something. That's where his base. That's where his hideout is. Something like that. Turns out at the end, the Australian barn was his TARDIS.
I saw that.
But he sees a bit. There's a bit on the plane where the plane starts to crash,
and
then. He's having a confrontation with the Doctor, and he's like, "Oh, you know who I am. You know who I am. Come on." And then she goes, "You're O." And then that's when and he goes, "Yeah, I chose it specifically." Oh, and then he goes, "I'm the Master," and then he just goes completely back crazy.
But
he's just like jumping up and down and squealing.
Where's the reasoning for him going bonkers?
There isn't one.
There is a reason though for.
But I just don't
John
like
Sim
that.
going bonkers.
I don't like that in the Master.
Right, I'll say this. I will say the Master is better when he's more suit kind of hypnotized, that kind of guy. But there's reason for him going a bit crazy. Well, a bit is an understatement. So I can let this one slide.
If it was, yes, okay. As a one-off, I'll let it, because Missy is crazy, but she's not this crazy. I like her crazy. She's the best master. No argument there. It's just, you can't, there's no debating that. It's her or Roger Delgado, that's it.
Yeah.
No other contenders.
Well, to be fair, the way Missy's done is it's her, the master being a female, it's so incredibly well done for Missy because it's not, you don't ever for a second doubt that it's the master. You know what I mean?
I do here with John Sim.
Oh, no,
I'm
no,
looking
listen,
at him going, you're not the master.
No, but
No, but I will let it. Okay, we'll let this point slide as a one-off. I will let him be crazy. Sacha Dhawan as the new master, he is the crux. Who's like, hey, we've done this already. Don't do it again. But no, shooting lasers out of his hands. Come on, having a cult to resurrect him. Come on, potions. Come on.
listen, okay, there are some dumb ideas, but I don't hate them because I've seen dumber.
I know, it just frustrates me for the master as a character.
For right, okay, here's a Batman thing.
Oh, here we
I
go.
know, listen, I'm good. listen. There are loads of different versions, and I used to be in the mindset that there had to be one perfect version for me to like it. If it's anything different, I don't. Then eventually, you realise, there are loads of different versions, all these work fine. For the Master, I can understand because it's all one character arc, in a way. But it's the idea that just... It works. I can let stuff that's bonkers slide because I've seen much worse and let that slide, you know?
I'd say it's fun and I can excuse it, but I'm not sure it does work. That's the problem. I really don't think I'm like, okay, I'll just accept this, but I'm not sure we're quite on
hitting the mark
on the master here. It may be a cool psycho villain, but it's not the master.
Okay, maybe.
That's how I feel.
To be fair, if he weren't the deranged psychopath, would it be better? Yes.
Like, if you think about John Sim's first appearance and his whole rise to power as Howard Saxon, he had all these archangel networks and everything to make people accept him as the master. Why would he need a cult as well? Come on. Why? He's got the archangel network. And all of that just, I'm like, no. That just doesn't make sense.
Listen, does the archangel network have potions, though? Does the cult
Exactly.
Potions?
They
do. See?
They don't
you
have
need the
potions. And they're just going to
Should
magic
we just talk about
nonsense.
These potions?
Potions.
Yeah, both of us, this is the first time I've taken notes for a Doctor Who episode. Both of us put in our notes, potions, ?
Yes.
That's it. Why? Okay, this is, if they
Exactly,
added the
this is
entire
what I'm
thing,
saying.
this
It
whole
just-
potions thing I don't get. I can accept it, but it's kind of like, you could have done something slightly different and it would have worked fine. You know?
Yeah,
Here come the potions, baby.
like,
baby,
Doctor Who
baby.
doesn't go into magic. Whenever it does, like, say, the Shakespeare episode, and the aliens
Yeah, I like
in
Shakespeare
that
episode.
are witches, essentially. Their magic isn't magic, that's just their alien species. This is straight magic.
Word.
Straight magic. My new rap album coming soon.
No, yeah, the potions. The problem is they don't really. I think the reason the potions aren't good is because they don't explain the potions at all. It's just, we have potions now.
Bubbling things, isn't it?
I
It's
know,
just-
it doesn't. There's no grounds for that being a thing. Because it's
No.
not like there are aliens resurrecting him. It's just humans, and as humans, we're not very good with potions. The best potion I've ever made was just shampoo mixed with some bubble bath. That's the best potion I've ever made.
And it didn't resurrect somebody.
Nope.
All right. Okay. So we've led in with the master. So I think, let's actually just get on to the plot.
No.
What do you mean, no?
I don't know. Yeah, sure. Plot. Where did it start?
Well, you watched it yesterday. You tell me.
Ah.
Come on, give me a run through.
Oh, yeah, it started with Wilf. Oh, okay, right. Let me look at my notes, because two-parters,
Because there are beats that I can
That's my
remember.
paper, everyone.
Yeah, interrupting me. There are beats that I can remember. And they're all just ridiculous.
Yeah, no, right. The way it starts is just kind of Wilf just doing his thing, and then the Doctor shows up from Honolulu. Do you know where he's got the...
Isn't that on the Ood planet?
Yeah.
Wolf isn't there.
No, but you start with Wilf, and then Wilf's looking up to the sky, and then you go to the Ood planet. I feel like
Okay,
I
we
missed
don't
that
need
bit out.
We don't need a beat for beat of everything that happens. I mean, generally,
Oh,
how
okay.
do we lead in with the plot?
Ood are just like...
I don't mean at 5 minutes exactly. We have
Right,
this, and then
listen. Right. Okay, he locks the TARDIS with the key, and it's like a
Yes,
car.
we don't need
Who
that.
don't get that joke? I just feel like people should get that joke. It's like a car, you see. It goes beep beep. I'm just doing David Tennant. Right.
I'm wasting valuable time on
Ah,
our
come on,
slot here.
listen. So basically, the Ood are having their what's the word?
Vision sessions.
No, I'm talking about developing. They're developing too fast, and they're having visions of the Master. So the Doctor's like, something's not right here. So he goes up to their little circle, and they're like the clever one, and then they just all hold hands, and they do the visions, and then he sees the Master, and he's like, hold your horses. Since when is this guy still alive? And then they keep explaining stuff, how the end of time and all that, and how he's have something, not someone, is going to come back. And then he's like, well, this is a problem. And then he goes for a little jog back to his TARDIS. And then
Okay,
the
well,
rest
we
happens
seem to be getting
because-
scene descriptions
because then the
here,
Master
so
is resurrecting himself with potions, which I don't understand, really, to be honest. But his wife had a plan with another potion to mess up the potions.
well, the plot I was looking for was Gallifrey using the Master to come back.
That's part 2. I was doing part 1 here.
Well, this is the overarching story. Rather than describing every scene to me, I need the actual
Right, okay,
plot of
overarching
this
story.
episode.
Okay. Gallifrey is using the Master to bring themselves back. Better?
Via James Bond.
Yes.
That is the story, and I like that.
Yeah.
It's a great story.
To be fair, with every Doctor Who episode, the premise is always good, to be fair.
Well, not always.
Well, more often than not, the
the
premise
moon
is good.
is an egg. Don't think so.
Listen here, okay? Can you
That'll
let,
be on- that'll
can
be on
you
a
let
late-
1 point slide, ever?
You just don't make very good points, clearly.
Oh, ow, oh. No, I agree with you. The idea of this episode is damn good.
What's the diamond thing called? White Point Star,
White
is
point
it?
star, yeah.
Yeah.
Which only
I
is
like
only
that.
found on
That
Gallifrey.
is what. This is what I'm saying. I like the episode in those respects. The thing I don't like, I'm just going to balance this up here just to make the point work. The thing I don't like is the whole master race thing. This is what I'm saying. I think of.
I like that idea. The problem is the way it's done is awfully naff.
2009
Yeah.
graphics.
It's a damn good idea trying to create everyone as him. It's like, I'll just make everyone me. It's quite. It's really scary in a way. But the problem is it's so easily turned around, and also they're also wearing. He could have just had them all think like him, or just make them
that's
drones.
that's what I was about to say. I think having the master race of being like, this is a planet in my vision, essentially. They don't all need. I know he's really vain and crazy, because that matches up to the 10th Doctor is also a very, very vain Doctor.
How dare you?
No, that's literally how he's described. He's a very vain Doctor, hence why he gets shot by a Dalek and keeps his face.
He looks damn good.
And then at the end has a hissy fit. Yeah, the idea of creating this race in his vision, sure, they can all think like him or just be under his mind control that is unbreakable. It's when they look like him, I think, oh, come on. And you see John Sim in a pink dress, and I just think, oh, please.
It's supposed to be sinister, but I don't find it sinister at all, you know? It's kind of like, well...
And that's what this episode does for me, because I'll go, oh...
If someone's... because if someone's brainwashed and you see the person you know, but they're not acting like the person you know, that's creepier than just seeing someone you know should be acting creepy.
Oh, I know Dave's got that T-shirt. Is that you, Dave? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's... That's what I'm saying about End of Time. I'll think, oh, End of Time, that's that really good one where Gallifrey comes back and Rassilon is played by Timothy Dalton. But it's also that one where everybody looks like John Sim. That's the problem.
Mm-hmm.
But as for the actual Gallifrey plot, what do you think of this? Because obviously this is Gallifrey's first return in New Who. But technically it's had 4 returns in New Who. This is the first one. What do you make of it?
I like it.
Same. Genuinely, I think it's a nice plot because it shows
Timothy
you...
Dalton is damn amazing, sorry.
Oh, yeah, but I'll get onto that in a moment. But it's that throughout all of New Who so far, we've heard of Gallifrey as being this amazing planet. It's got red grass, it's got the Citadel, it's beautiful, it's amazing. No, this is Gallifrey.
Yeah, and I love when the moment where the Doctor realises that Gallifrey's coming back, like the Time Lords are coming back, to be specific. the way he reacts is like, hold on, shouldn't you be? Oh, you're not excited for this because they're in a time war and they've turned into these warmongers in a way.
Yeah.
And it's that reaction.
Well,
It's like,
it's even the Time Lords before the Time War. Why does the Doctor run away in the first place?
It's like the Time Lords of
Time
old
Lords-
were the only good ones.
Time
and
Lords, Time Lords are not good people.
No, immortality corrupts. Of course it does. Because it's a form of power, and power corrupts absolutely.
And it's the rule of, you hear it a lot in Doctor Who, they have a rule of non-involvement. And the Doctor would be like, but why?
Yeah.
We can literally go anywhere, when we want. There are people dying, and you're just like, but I've got a funky hat. And he's like, nah.
Actually, I like the hat. I mean, give me the hat and I'll maybe just... No.
So I do genuinely think this is
Yeah.
a really nice way to have Gallifrey properly introduced.
The
'cause we've-
Doctor's lonely because he's the last of his kind, but he was also maybe the best in a weird way. You know?
Yeah.
And he's not a great person. He's good, but he's not perfect.
No.
He's
And
flawed
then
in that moment.
even
That's what makes him great.
Rassilon in this, Rassilon is a name we hear throughout loads of Doctor Who as being the founder of Gallifrey, him and Omega. And we're going to ignore the Timeless Child because it's nonsense.
I know very little about the Timeless Child, and so will any of my folks listening to this.
Yes, so the difference is throughout all of Doctor Who, we learnt that throughout 57 years of Doctor Who, we thought that the founder of Gallifrey was Rassilon and Omega, who had found the ability of regeneration and time travel through exposure to the time vortex. That's the idea.
Omega
And
Supreme.
then Chibnall went, boom, 57 years over. This is the canon now. And then there's a shot of Rassilon, Omega, and the other, a character called the Other, who is the Doctor in a previous incarnation. They walk up a corridor in the full Gallifreyan regalia, and that's supposed to be, these are the founders of Gallifrey. No, the Doctor is not a founder of Gallifrey. I do not care what you say. He is not. So this Rassilon is the founder of Gallifrey and Omega.
The Doctor being a founder of Gallifrey takes away from the Doctor's character.
Oh, it's literally the different character. The whole point of the Doctor's character is supposed to be is he's in this institutionalized society, and he goes, I don't like this, I'm running away. Not that he created the institutionalized society and then later on went, dang it, I'm going to leave.
Because if he created it, he could do this. Let's change the institutionalized
Exactly. And
society.
I know they say they wiped his memory, but why? That's just...
I hate amnesia in anything is it's like the classic and he woke up from the dream and it's like no.
Oh, it's just so
That's just
bad. I'm just going to handle the end of time from now on. When we're discussing Gallifreyan concepts of the end of time, I'm discussing the end of time. If you say, well, that doesn't count because the Timeless Child said this, no, the Timeless Child is not being counted. I don't care what you say, anybody listening to this.
It's not counted for me because I know of it from what you've said, but I've never seen it. So
yeah, and it's absolute rubbish and just undermines everything that Doctor Who is.
I love
no
it
two
when
ways about
you
it.
just. I just set you up there to just talk about Timeless
Yeah,
Child.
'cause
And
I
you were
just-
just like, no, I'm
I
gonna
was
go.
like, I thought Rassilon, and my mind just immediately went, oh, but that doesn't matter anymore, does it? Because everything we knew from the 70s about Rassilon
listen,
doesn't matter anymore.
At the point when this was made, this was what
That's
was
what I'm
true.
saying. So this is
you
what
can't really think of anything.
Yeah, that's what I'm
post.
going to handle here. So everything we've heard about Rassilon is that...
Speaking of, they only say the name Rassilon once in this, and that's when David Tennant says it in this episode. He says the name Rassilon once.
Okay, but we know that's who it is.
I know, but I didn't. I genuinely, I didn't know his name until David said Rassilon.
Well, that's the idea, isn't it?
But he could have been a bit like this guy's. I don't know.
But the point...
Now that you've explained
the
it, makes
point I'm
sense.
trying to...
During
I've
the
been-
episode, I was like, "What's happening?" But now you've explained that, I'm like, "That makes sense."
The point I've been trying to say for 5 minutes is that we've always heard of Rassilon as being that mighty leader that found Gallifrey, or it's those. I suppose it's like an American thing, isn't it? You hear of all the founding fathers, or actually they're not as good people as you thought they were, and it's that this is the first time really that we get a proper incarnation of Rassilon. He has a sort of a brief appearance in the Five Doctors, but that's neither here nor there. But this is the first time we see Rassilon. It's that same thing of, Gallifrey's amazing. Wouldn't that be great if the Doctor could go back? No. We don't want to go back. Because every time we do, things go wrong. And then this happens. So I really like that as a concept. And then they're even going to use one of their own species, put something in his brain, send him insane.
That whole they're
just
the
as a
reason he
signal.
went in. They're the reason the Master is Doolally is so good.
Yeah.
I love how it's not his insanity. And when in the first part, I mean, not the first, well, first episode, first part, that's what I mean. When the Master does the hand on David's head thing and goes, "Now hear what I hear," and David hears it for the first time. Listen, I'm always going to say David for the Doctor, okay? When he hears that for the first time, and that whole little iteration where you find out that he's not, that if the Doctor can hear it as well, it means it's a thing. It means it isn't his mind, you know?
Yeah.
And that whole idea, and then you find out that it's from Gallifrey, is really, it's so cruel and it's so evil, because it's the idea that they went, we're more important than this person. This, like, it's not like it's another, it's not like it's a human, it's one of their species in a way. Not in a way, it is, you know. So you would assume they'd want to look after their own in that sense, but they don't. They don't care. It's like, we'll doom this child, and they choose a child to this insanity to save ourselves.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And they don't care about the consequences of what the Master does. They don't care about any of that. They're just like, as long as we have a chance of living. And it's like, well, you don't deserve to live if you're willing to sacrifice this person. It's like, that's a sacrifice I'm willing to make. Yeah, no, don't do it.
And that's what's...
So
I just
creepy.
think it's such a good handling of Gallifrey. Probably
Yeah.
probably the best in New Who. Maybe the Day the Doctor did it. Maybe no.
Day
I'd
the
say
Doctor
this is
did
the
it
best-
well, but
say
the
this is
Day
the
the
best
Doctor,
one.
Gallifrey were kind of good. They were just,
because we wanted to save them in that one. So,
yeah.
but I do like in the Day the Doctor. There is a line when they walk into the Cabinet War Room, and they do say, "The High Council is forming their own plot," and that's in reference to this
Yeah.
one. So in the final days of Gallifrey,
It's
There's
nice
always
to know that
multiple
there's
plots
always,
going on.
in any sort of war or any sort of factions, there are always sub-factions who disagree. That's just the way of the
Yeah.
world. No one will ever agree fully. And that's true in Doctor Who, and that's nice. It's good.
Yeah. But even like you said about Timothy Dalton, he is absolutely
Oh.
incredible in this episode. The way, I mean, obviously we know in hindsight over the years that we know it's Timothy Dalton building up. But if you think about as the episode builds up, you just hear this really ominous narration, and it's talking about the final days and the final. And you think, oh, this
The
is
end of time.
very.
Oh, and when it was
deep
really
and-
poetic when he said, I can't remember exactly, and mankind will sleep knowing something. Like, it was like knowing something's not right in a weird. I was terrible paraphrasing. 'Cause
Yeah,
that
but
sounded like a
something-
story from a children's book. But
something in that vein.
yeah,
But I really like the way that it builds up. Then finally, in that it's final moments of episode 1, isn't it, or part 1?
Yes.
That was he's revealed, and you think, oh my God, it's a Time Lord.
holy guacamole, Batman.
Well, I think that's absolutely incredible. These are the good parts of this episode. But as we close this point, there is the very big topic of who is the woman.
Is it his mum?
Yes.
So that was easy. Solved it here, folks.
Well, it's
See you next time.
there are a lot of fan theories around it, but Russell T Davis has said,
A woman and a dad, both of them are quite old, in the sense of looking old, you know. And the way the Doctor reacts and the way they cry, they're the only two people who don't want the Doctor to be the enemy of the Council. They voted against. It's basically said outright that they're his parents.
well, yeah, Russell T Davis said afterwards, yeah, I envisioned it as his mum, but I didn't say that explicitly in the episode so people could think of their own theories.
Yeah, it's nice.
So in canon, technically it's not his mum, but it's not his mum.
It's like
It's
Schrodinger's cat.
it's whoever you want it to be.
Yeah.
So I've seen a lot of fan theories where people say this is a legend character who was the basis for the Weeping Angels, where they got their name from, where they got their legend from, that kind of thing. That's something I've seen.
When Timothy Dalton said that, like the Weeping Angels of old, I was like, oh, hello.
Yeah, that's one thing. Another thing, some people said it's the fourth Doctor's companion, Romana, because she does ascend into a high position in Time Lord Council, and said it could be her. There's one somebody who really
Then
cares about the Doctor.
who would the guy be?
Well, it doesn't matter. They're not an important. It's that woman is the focus. The other person's just a person.
Mm-hmm.
That's not
They're
important.
both there.
Because it's never been said that's his dad. That's not a thing. It's
Mm.
just the woman is the
Then-
focus.
no, yeah, but come on. Why have a...
I think that's irrelevant. I think you've just pieced that together. I've never heard that theory before. That's just something.
People are dumb.
That's
Why are
just,
there
it's
two
the woman.
people?
It's because of the woman is the focus. The woman in the TV. The woman that she's the focus. The other person's just there.
Yeah, maybe his dad just.
Could just be like his old friend or something.
Right.
'Cause
Where's
the rule,
the?
something that showrunners have always had as a rule, up until Chibnall, is never show the Doctor's family ever. You must never ever do it because that just defeats the object of where the Doctor's come from. So if you go, here's both his parents, that seems like overkill. But a mother seems like more mysterious.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like you're bringing them back though. It's just like these are your folks. They're in a bit of a terrible situation right now. They're going back to that. Bye bye. So it makes the decision harder for him to send them back.
I suppose so.
But yeah,
But yeah, it is.
Well, we don't know,
It is,
so
it is a
Mike could
rule
be-
that you never see the
yeah.
family.
unless the like obviously Rusty Davis, the writer, will know of like, what he thought they are, you know, when he was writing it. But because it's never said in canon, you can never be sure. So it's
Yeah.
the idea that everyone's right in a weird way, unless they think it's,
The timeless child.
yeah, then you're wrong. But other than that, yeah, fine.
But no, I like that's one of those early mysteries. I think when I watched it as a kid, I was going, "That's the Doctor's mum." So I don't think it was really that much of a big deal.
No.
But I think I've seen people say random stuff from it's River Song and all things. I'm like, what?
Yeah, but why?
She's not even a Time
Yeah,
Lord.
you've got to. It's got to be based in some semblance of fact in the universe of Doctor Who. You can't just have it be any character. Like, is Mike saying it's
Well,
Rose
River-
Tyler? No,
Yeah,
because
but River Song would make some sense though. It is the Doctor's wife,
I say no to thee.
but I don't like it. It's
No
not-
to thee.
It's not.
No to thee, sir.
It's not a theory that I like.
bite my thumb at thee. What is that a reference to?
Lord knows.
Shakespeare. How dare you?
Well,
Lord knows.
Shakespeare can
I shaka the spear at you.
he can jog on for all I care.
Right.
Okay.
Can we talk about the music for a second?
The Great Murray Gold.
My word, this is probably one of the best pieced episodes.
Well, the David Tennant era is.
Well, it's amazing.
So all of it is just incredible.
Whenever he's
music.
running, the music's amazing. When he's doing anything triumphant, it's called the Veil or something. When he's changing,
The Veil Descent.
is that it?
Yeah.
That whole track is just like, do you want me to cry? Because this is gonna. And I'm crying. Thank you for that one. It's all it does.
Yeah.
It's a tremendous piece of music. And
It's the track I was talking to you about yesterday. There's Veil and then Veil Descent. They're two separate tracks. It's Veil that actually gets me. Veil Descent has been ruined by a YouTube video that gave it false lyrics. So whenever I hear that now, I just hear the false lyrics. But the Veil is the track that gets. It's just the that plays over the really sad bits, and that's when you. That's him realizing he's
I'm
gonna
cry
die.
now. You know what you've done. Give me a minute. No,
That's his. I think it plays it. I'll tell you which moment it plays. It's not actually. It might be in this episode, but the one I'm thinking of is at the end of the Waters of Mars, which I think is one of the best
probably
moments. One of
one
the
of my
best
favourite
moments
episodes.
of not just Tennant's era, but all of New Who, is when he sees Ud Sigma stood by the TARDIS, and he says, "I've gone too far." And it's that Veil plays over that bit, and I'm just like, it's so sad.
It's like for me, Veil is like the Force theme from Star Wars. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That really emotional. It's just a character moment, and it really it's wonderful, and I love it. But the music when he's running and doing anything dramatic is like, yeah, this is cool. Loving this. It's funky.
Of course.
And speaking of running, he runs. He runs a few times, but there were two runs which really hit me. You know where he's running back to the TARDIS at the very start of part one, and I think it's still in part one, where he's running to the Master's room from the Cactus's room.
That's racist.
Cacti.
It's Vin Voce.
And he does the classic. Okay, so he's running and he meets a corner. What does he do? He kicks the wall. He does a little hop, does a little jump, kicks the wall, and
Hop
keeps
off the
going.
wall.
I have genuinely done that before, and it slows you down so much. But I've done it, and I got that off Doctor Who. So thank you for that one.
No.
But I just love.
But what
running
about the bit
scenes.
when he's in the when he's all tied up and they're dragging him down the
Oh,
stairs? That was hysterical.
That's
That is.
amazing. I love that, and it is. Doctor Who is both funny and scary and heartfelt, and it's everything, and I love it. And this episode, I think, does all of that.
Yeah, no, that's the thing. That's what I'm saying. The episode's frustrating 'cause it has so many good moments, and this sums up the Russell T Davies era. Like so many aspects of Doctor Who too, but like the whole groundedness, the human thing, the feeling like a big group when he goes back and visits all the companions. Like these all have familiar faces. We've got the running themes of the Master and Gallifrey and everything. It's just like the Russell T Davies era. Yeah, this is the final chapter. That's it. We are done. We're gonna get everything you like and stick it in this episode. Yeah. And then it just has moments that I just go, stop, please. The biggest one is, of course, his hissy fit at the end.
No.
That is so un-Doctor, not just for the 10th Doctor, but every Doctor. It is just so out of character.
Well, he's already done... Right. Okay,
I've seen explanations for it,
okay.
but it
At the
just
start
doesn't
of the-
make sense.
Not at the start. In part 1, he has that moment with Wilf in the cafe.
Which is, again, really un-Doctor.
Why is it?
Because the Doctor's... every time we've ever seen him deal with Regeneration before this, it's very... with grace, he is accepting it, he's just reassuring the people around him. It's very much like, this is fine. This is...
Okay, he's
this
reassuring
is-
the people around him.
This is me moving on, but this is... So this is another body, but it's not death. It is fine, it's a renewal. This is not a death, it will be fine.
Okay, is that him trying to make himself feel better about that? Although he knows, he's just saying that to make you feel better.
But it's...
Okay, no.
I
Right.
think it's the brave face in face. It's
Exactly.
the brave face in the face of death.
Is
In that the Doctor will sacrifice himself. He will do everything he can, and death will just come as a part of that. This Doctor then goes, "No, it's all about me.
Right.
I
Is
don't
this
want to
Right,
change."
No. Is this regeneration one of the only regenerations, or maybe the only one where he's not surrounded by a companion?
Second Doctor isn't. Seventh Doctor isn't. Eighth Doctor isn't. War Doctor isn't. 10th Doctor isn't. 12th Doctor isn't.
All right.
So I'd say half of them
Bugger.
aren't.
Right. I just think this Doctor has been through many companions. He's got through a lot of them, but he had a relationship with Rose, but he's had the most tragic losses for those in a weird way. Rose is now in a parallel universe. Martha's now kicking ass, so she's done quite well for herself. And Donna is minimum wage and doesn't remember really much of any of the times
Well,
she's
she doesn't remember any of it.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, all right.
All gone.
And I just think he's so alone. And after the Waters of Mars, he's realised that he can't really save everyone he can, and he's finally come to that conclusion where, as that, he's lonely and he can't save anyone, and he's like, you know, he's not in a good mindset at that moment. Really, he's not doing well.
It's just the fact that every Doctor takes on Regeneration with grace, and then he comes along and it's just like, okay, you're gonna have to sacrifice yourself for a companion, and he essentially goes, I don't want to. I'm gonna have to, but I don't want to.
No, I think he does.
He does. That's why he has a hissy fit. He goes, I could
no.
have done so much more. Why do I have to do this? Why did Wilf have to get into there?
He's angry. It's purely venting. I don't think he's. If he genuinely believed that, and he wasn't, and he thought I'm really angry at Wilf for doing this, he wouldn't have saved him. If that was his true feelings, he wouldn't have saved him. But in the end, he chose to save a life instead of
In a very
damning
poorly
someone.
designed machine as well, might I add.
Yeah, all right.
Why would you vent the nuclear radiation to the controls?
Because
Why would you do that?
the controls are the reason it messed up? So it's kind of like, listen,
Put
if
it in a
you-
separate
If
room.
you mess up these controls, we're going to vent everything into you. And it's like, all right, so you've got to do a good
Like,
job.
You've got two bits that people have to go in behind this Vinvoci glass. Did they not think we could make a separate booth to channel it
Listen,
into?
I was on a damn fine point there and decided to talk about Vinvoci
It
bleeding
just
glass.
frustrates me, that
Stop.
does.
Right.
But no,
The-
the only explanation I will accept for the 10th Doctor being a Mardy 4-year-old is that this Doctor lived for only about 5 years. And he essentially did a lot in 5 years, which confuses me why every comic an audio adventure that is released now is still set in the 10th Doctor era. So I'm like, you've not got much time to play with, really. You've only got 5 years of room. I will accept that he only had 5 years, got to the end of it and thought, damn it, I'd have liked to have been in this body a little bit longer. Then it's the whole, that's the, I could have done so much more. That makes sense. It's just the facing it like, oh, regeneration's, it's death. No, it's not. Throughout all of 900 years of your life and 50 years of Doctor Who, you took on regeneration as a strong character.
Okay, is he regenerating into another, like a third one? He's got 10 more left, or is he, in his mind, regenerating into his last
That's the other.
possible
That's
Doctor?
the other one I'll accept, is that maybe he knows that the next body is his last. And he thought,
I've wasted this one.
yeah, this one's not gone on for long enough. Could I have a bit more time before the next one, please? Oh, well, here's the last one. I just think it's so un-Doctor-like. Like, the third Doctor before he regenerates. A tear Sarah Jane, then just closes his eyes, regenerates. Fourth Doctor before he regenerates. It's okay, the moment has been prepared for, regenerates. Nice and somber, moving on. 11th Doctor, when he regenerates, he makes a big speech about change, and he just says it's fine. We're all people throughout our we're all different people throughout our lives. That's okay. You've got to move on and remember who you are before. And he just holds out his hand and changes. Nice decorum. 12th Doctor, he just says, "Oh, one more life won't kill me, will it?" And then regenerates. 10th Doctor's like, "Yeah."
The whole 12th Doctor arc was him coming to terms with doing another with being the Doctor again. So that's why he reacts like that. But the 10th Doctor, he doesn't really have anyone in the end in a weird way. That's how he feels. So he can't really ever, and he's always, and for how many, would you say, how long before he regenerates was he living with the fear of, I'm changing again? At some point. Knowing when you're going to die, no matter when it is, no matter how it is always scary. So I think that this Doctor had the most fear in that sense. And he had some great times, but he's alone now. Wilf is great and all, but Wilf was never really a companion to him.
I guess so, but then it also, like, then why isn't the 11th Doctor just an emo throughout all of his run? If he's thinking, this is my last one. I just do not like that moment at all.
Right.
Even a lot, I don't have a problem with I don't want to go, but a lot of people, trust me, a lot of people don't even like I don't want to go.
No.
Because they think, why? Come on, man, just accept it like all other Doctors did before you.
Him saying
and after you.
That when he dies, it's like everything that person was dies. Same memories, but a different man saunters away. To be fair, he's not wrong.
I know. I like that in a way,
He's
but I
right.
just...
Every Doctor is different. Same memories. They never go back to the companions, really, unless it's like Sarah Jane, who finds them. You know? They're very rarely ever... When they're the new person, I genuinely believe they don't feel the same emotional connection to the people they knew. Because they don't ever visit them again.
Probably.
Because they genuinely don't feel those connections. And I think the Doctor, by changing, he knows he won't ever meet these people again. That's why he gets his reward, because he wants to see them again. He wants to feel something for these people and for them to know that he's still out there, you know, in a weird way. But he can't do that in a different face.
But then there are some lines about the Doctor visiting old companions.
Yeah, but
that we do get.
I feel like those are added purely in the sense of, here's an old companion that you used to like, not in the sense of, this is what the Doctor would do.
Because it's like the example with Sarah Jane Adventures episode with Matt Smith in it.
Yes. Also
brings back the third Doctor companion, Joe Grant.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, "Oh, you never came back, never visited me." And he's like, "Yeah, I did. I come back every few years and watch you. I visited you in the Amazon. I visited you in Africa. You're always off adventuring and I don't have the chance to come up and meet you."
That's a lie. About coming up to meet you. I feel like because he remembers them. So he remembers how he felt, but I do not believe at all that he feels the exact same emotions. He knows how he should feel, but he doesn't feel the same.
It would be a valid point for some, except for companions that carry on, obviously.
Well, I just think, yeah, that's just...
But Because, like, you know what I mean? There could be, like, the fourth Doctor meets...
They've seen him change, you know? So it's kind of like there at the moment.
Yeah.
If he were to go back and find one that with like 2 Doctors ago, he wouldn't have that same emotional connection.
Probably not, no. And they wouldn't in return to him, because even though they know it's the Doctor, it's not their Doctor.
Seeing someone physically completely change appearance is probably a lot easier to accept than you just... If you were to show up yesterday with a completely different face, you know what? I would not believe it. It's like from The Office, when Jim isn't Jim. You know that bit?
Asian Jim.
That's the one.
Pulling out Office references on me now.
Yeah. So I think that whole cafe scene with Wilf really allows me to accept his, as you said, tantrum.
I think
Personally.
it suits... I'll say it. Think there are explanations to it that I will accept.
And let's not
And
forget
I think
this
it
is
suits
a huge
this
Doctor.
Doctor. But as the Doctor, it doesn't sit right with me. Like, I couldn't imagine any other Doctor doing this. I
'Cause
can imagine...
I think the Doctor is an idea. It's like a legend in a weird way.
Like a bunch of the regenerations, I could switch around and say, oh, that Doctor could have done that, that Doctor could have done that, that's consistent character. It's not here.
And people change in life, and we do. We are different people from what we were 5-10 years ago.
Well,
But with the
that's-
Doctor, it's
that's
such
the
a
11th
drastic
Doctor's
change.
line.
Really?
Eh?
Oh, wow. Thank you.
That's what the 11th Doctor says.
Huh.
In his...
I can't remember his regeneration off my
In his
heart, but-
regeneration speech, that's when he says, we're all different people throughout our lives, and that's good, we move on, but as long as you remember everybody who came before.
Yeah.
And I think that's a...
And I think I think I can and with him having this emotional outburst, and when he goes back in time, he sees all his friends, his reward. He's still having these. It's all what I mean is for him. It's minutes. You know, he's still in that same mindset of he's not doing well, and then when he switches to Matt Smith meets Amy, and then it's the idea that he's really kind of coming to terms maybe with that, and I can accept that, and it's quite nice actually. It's different, but when he's talking about we were different people from who we used to be, maybe that's him feeling I handled my last regeneration not well because I wasn't in a good place. But I realised after that regeneration I became this person. I became Matt Smith. And I'm happy with that, you know?
Yeah.
So he's happy, or at least content, with changing because he's realised that. It's like David Tennant's Doctor is maybe going through depression in a way, you know, since the war and all that. Since the War Doctor and all that. And it's that turning point when he regenerates.
That's Eccleston's Doctor, though. That's Eccleston's Doctor is that. That's what that represents.
But David isn't there yet.
Eccleston's Doctor is the traumatized Doctor, and then when he meets Rose, because some people say the Doctor can choose his face. That some people say it's just purely random.
Well, they literally say he does choose his face.
Yeah, so
I think subconsciously.
Subconsciously, that's it. So Eccleston is the very mood. You can see what he's wearing: jet black leather. And he's just like traumatized as a Doctor. And then he meets Rose, and then he finally feels comfortable enough. So he subconsciously chooses a much more younger, attractive,
much more young, yeah,
sporty face. And he thinks, okay, I'm going to open this up now. And then you see in series 2 that is him going, I'm happy now. But then I guess by the time you get to the specials at the end of series 4,
what happens to Rose?
Then Rose gets trapped in
the idea.
Parallel universe.
Rose is gone, so he loses what he thought was the solution to his problems. He lost what he thought was helping him, you know?
And then he gets Martha, who is the rebound companion, that's literally what they call it, and then he goes, she wasn't quite right. And then she leaves of her own accord, and he's like, I'm fine with that. And then he gets Donna, who is his best friend. Literally, Donna is his best friend.
And what happens to Donna? Donna doesn't leave.
He ends up having to wipe her memory.
So I really think Chris Ferguson and David's Doctor, they are going through very similar emotional beats, but in different contexts.
Yeah.
So I really think the switch between... I think David's reaction is perfectly justified in my way, in my mind. And
I'll say for his Doctor. I do
Yes.
think for his Doctor it makes sense. Just
for
as
Matt
the
Smith,
Doctor,
listen, for
it
Matt Smith,
distresses
no.
me.
For Christopher Eccleston, no, this wouldn't work. For Peter Capaldi, no, it wouldn't work. But I think for this Doctor and everything he'd been through in that context he was in at that very moment, I'm fine with it. And also, I love David Tennant, so I can't really not like it.
No, fair point. That is a good rebuttal for it. Maybe if there's any Who-tubers listening, let's really hope there is, because that's just amazing, isn't it? They can just say, look, it does make sense for some people. To me, the context of the tantrum makes perfect sense. And even explaining it with how long he was the Doctor makes sense. It's just, why did you react like that? That's the thing that annoys me. But you have provided a very good rebuttal.
I'd
But
say.
no, that is genuinely the major thing from the episode. That I find issue with it, but there are some people that really do not like that. And I'm actually more positive for one of the negative. I'm a positive negative in that sense. I'm like, I don't like it, but I'll excuse it. But Jesus, there are some people that really take issue with that. And I think, oh, come on. There are bigger problems in Doctor Who than
with
that.
me, because of the amount of comic books I've seen and read and films and animations, everything. It's really with me. It's because of how much Batman I know. I can accept basically any interpretation with open arms. Like I can accept Zur-En-Arrh Batman, for crying out loud.
Just don't accept timeless child interpretation of Doctor Who, whatever you do.
Yes, sir.
Have you got anything else you want to say? Because that is the crux of that. That was about 20 minutes or so, that discussion. That's the biggest thing that people have issue with in this episode.
But just remember, during that whole kind of him going, the Ood is still there telling him that although you've had a bit of a rough run this time, it's not over. And the quote is, the song is ending, but the story never ends.
Yeah.
So although the Doctor may not be giving us that moment, there are because the Ood are more of a being, more of a collective force, kind of willing him on in a weird way. So I just think you kind of get every aspect there. But
the story never ends, but the podcast does. So usually we'd do a what would you do to fix it? To me, I would replace the hissy fit with more of a discussion, contemplation, like in episode 1 when he's talking in the cafe. Something like that feels more in place than just yeah and spitting everywhere. That just feels like so pathetic.
Okay. I love this episode, and I can, as I've said, I can accept that bit, and I think it kind of works. I'll say kind of works,
Yeah.
But yeah, if I could, I would make it more in line with what we've seen previously with the Doctor, or maybe kind of have him. Because one thing I think Doctor Who should always be is kind of connected in a way. They're different, but they're all connected. Because I don't want it to feel like a different show. I want it to feel like a different character. Not a different character, different personality, same character, different show. No, wait. I've got this in... Wait, right. Same character, different personality, but the same show.
Yes.
That's what I mean.
There we go. Got there in the end.
Yeah. And in that moment, I would maybe do what you were saying and just... I maybe wouldn't have him say anything in that small... Where the moment is, have him not say anything.
Put it all in the eyes, Tom's Hardy style.
No, just have him come over and do the "it was an honour" and just do that, Maybe.
Yeah,
And let's maybe get rid of the Master's.
Oh yeah, that's the other
hunger.
thing. Master, I will let him be crazy for this one. That's one thing. I'll excuse it here, but please get rid of the burgers and goose fat and chips. Oh, please.
That doesn't add anything.
And also, the shooting the lasers out of his hand doesn't achieve anything.
Just give him a gun.
That is just so... That's a superpower.
Throwing
That's
stars.
not Doctor
Give
Who.
the Master throwing stars. There you go.
They're my fixes. Quiet contemplation. Get rid of these skull electric laser hands. Another album I've got coming soon. Skull electric laser hands.
It's good. You got them going. Yeah. Albums. They're not even singles. Woo.
No, full albums, yeah. What was my one from earlier? I can't remember now. A rap album or something. Straight Magic, wasn't it? Straight Magic and Skull Electric Laser Hands.
Yeah, that's great.
But yeah, genuinely, I do like this episode. I just wanted to cover it because there are There are issues that I think
There are
need-
issues.
need-
There are issues with this
there are
episode.
issues that need to be
definitely.
addressed in the sense that these issues I see and I think, really? And then I go, oh, okay, I can understand your point, but here's what I think, and that's why I wanted to do The End of Time on this
Ultimately,
podcast.
I love these 2 episodes, The End of Time Part 1 and Part 2.
But I'd say we're done with The End of Time, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Well, until next week when we're going to discuss Christmas specials, and
We'll- yeah,
and it
we'll
would
probably-
inevitably come back into
Yes.
conversation. But because I didn't want to fill the Christmas special runtime with The End of Time, we've given it its own episode.
It's a lot of wibbly wobbly, timey wimey
Yes,
stuff.
in the
Way.
run up for Christmas. So, let's say those naysayers about The End of Time,
Have been firmly squashed by me.
exterminated.
Quashed.
Come on,
I've destroyed them.
use the term correctly.
Eviscerated. Perhaps even exterminated.
They have been exterminated. And that brings us to the end. You've been listening to Exterminating Doctor Who on Utter Radio
Yeah.
or YouTube or Spotify,
Yeah.
depending on where you listen.
It's fair. Either one's fine. As long as you're listening
Yes.
to us, we don't care. Unless
Yeah.
you're pirating it. And then, how do you manage that?
I don't know. I don't think, can you pirate podcasts?
That's why I say, have you managed? I'd be impressed. If you have, tell us how. No, but thank you for listening, everyone.
Thank you for listening. Join us next week for our Christmas special.
Oh,
It's a special, eh? But
Mm.
what's so special?
we'll be talking about Christmas
Yeah.
specials.
Join us next week. Goodbye.
See ya.